Hare Krishna. Welcome to the, I can't remember, 29th class, I think, or the 28th, whichever one it is. But the thing which is sure today, we will cover the 11th chapter, which is the Vishwarupa Yoga, or the universal form. But before we get started, let us recite or chant the prayers, the Mangalacharan prayers, towards our spiritual master, gurus, acharyas, so that with their blessings we can understand the topics of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Can you all hear okay? Is the audio fine? Okay, great. And as always, I request you to find a nice quiet place to sit and engage in this meditation and study of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And if possible, please turn on your video. It provides for a more personal experience, at least to me. I'm sure to you as well. You can see all the participants. So, yeah. And these prayers are the Mangalacharan prayers at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita as it is in the introduction chapter. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenbandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right, so we will start with the 11th chapter, and the hope is to complete the 11th chapter as well today. It's a long chapter, one of the longer ones, and probably, if my memory serves me right, it is the third longest chapter with 55 verses. The longest one is 78 verses, chapter 18. Second one is chapter 2 with 72 verses, and this is with 55. I don't think there's anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth chapter has 47 verses. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 has 55, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. That's right. So this is the third longest chapter. So a very beautiful chapter, and something very, very wonderful will be revealed at the end of the chapter. So that's the portion that I'm really, that our acharyas, our gurus, Lord Krishna himself, of course, but that's the one to focus on. But again, the rest of the chapter is also very, very beautiful. And there are many aspects and realizations that I will share, which are not from any of the purports by previous acharyas, including Srila Prabhupada's, but they are my personal thoughts and realizations on this topic. And so I just wanted to say that more as a disclaimer, because I could be wrong. I'm a very insignificant person. So, but still, I want to share those with you. But if I'm wrong in any of those, please offer your corrections. Or if later on, over time, over many years, if I am proven to be wrong, then I am to blame, not my previous acharyas or gurujanas or senior Vaishnavas whom I hear and learn from. And mainly those aspects will be the areas of you know scientific aspects and sort of the intersection of science and spirituality in those areas. So um, before we start, I want to provide a sort of a general uh, introduction to this chapter, and we'll start with some thoughts, and then we will go through the chapter. So, in this chapter, Arjuna is requesting Lord Krishna to show his material universal form. What does that mean? So, in the previous chapter, chapter 10, Lord Krishna showed, or he didn't show anything, but he described his vibhutis or his various opulences. And then towards the end of the chapter, Lord Krishna says that ekamshena sthito jagat, that by one small fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So with a small fragment of his opulences, of his unlimited opulence, he pervades the entire universe. So he got all this wonderful description that among the immovable objects, I am the Himalayas. Among the rivers, I am the Ganges, and so on and so forth. And we have all seen those things with our eyes. Hopefully you have seen the Himalayas, or you've seen some kinds of mountains, at least in your life. If not the Himalayas, then maybe the Grand Tetons, the Rockies, or if you live in Portland, then at least you've seen Mount Hood. So we could imagine what the great Himalayas look like. You've seen rivers, and hopefully you have seen and probably bathed in the Ganges River as well. So those things are things we have seen. But Krishna says that that is just a fragment of my eternal, of my eternality, of my entire form. And that entire form is what Arjuna now wants to see. So he's getting more excited, or he's more ecstatic. That would be a better word to describe Arjuna's feelings, that he is now just he just can't have enough of Krishna at this point. He just wants to know more. It's like a father who is one day, in a conversation with his son, and the father is telling all kinds of things about his past life, how he was this great man here, and then he did this, and the child is like, oh my God, tell me this, tell me that, tell me that. Not because he does not trust that my father is telling the truth or not. There's no aspect of that. He doesn't want any confirmation or any verification, or he's not trying to check out his father and try to evaluate or measure him, but he's just in that. They both are at this point, Lord Krishna and Arjuna are in this wonderful mood where Krishna is just completely in, as you would say, Arjuna is in complete Krishna consciousness. He just can't have enough of Krishna. Basically, that's a great way to say it. And he one thing Krishna says, and then he takes off from there and asks for another thing. Okay, why don't you tell me about this? And then Krishna says something else and says, why don't you tell me about this? Why don't you tell me about that? He's just going kind of bonkers and trying to absorb as much of Krishna as possible. So that is Arjuna's situation, which is the same case that of a pure devotee. He is never satisfied. He says, okay, today I have heard enough about Krishna. Let me stop and let me, go and watch a Hollywood movie. No, no, no. For him, Hollywood movie means Krishna Lila. That is his enjoyment. So that is the state of mind of Arjuna. And also, Srila Prabhupada describes that it is for our benefit that the universal form has been requested by Arjuna so that we can understand the universal form, the Vishwarupa form. So basically, at this point, Arjuna wants to see that complete form, that full form, a fragment of which, a small fragment of which are all these wonderful things we do see around us, like the Himalayas, the rivers, the trees, the birds, the animals. Everything that we see, Krishna said, is just a fragment. Okay, if this is a fragment, show me the whole. That's his question. I want to see you, the whole thing. Now, here comes the problem. Okay, let's say, what's a good way to say this? Let's say you live in a desert where you don't have anything else. It's just dry, barren land, as if you're on the moon. I'm sure you must have all seen Neil Armstrong on the moon, right? And when he's there, it's just barren land, right? There is absolutely nothing else. Now, suddenly, if that person comes from a desert to a very, very beautiful place like Oregon. I like Oregon very much, full of greenery, and it always keeps raining. I like the rain, but it also gives the vegetation, the greenery, the flowers, everything. So you put him in that situation, and then he sees all these flowers and everything around him, and he says, wow, this is so beautiful. Show me all of Oregon at once. Well, how do you, if a person is standing on the ground, how do you show him all of Oregon in one vision? You can't, right? So what's one way to do that? Well, one possible way to do it is that you sit in an aeroplane, right? And you go very high. And there you can see a large part of Oregon. I used to fly to Folsom every week for my work. And I've flown almost like 500 times because I used to go like every week for 10 years approximately. So that's like 52 weeks and times 10. I'm just making up a number. Maybe it's like more like 300 times probably. Anyway, and I clearly kind of figured out the route that the airplane takes, like the actual path. So I know which side of the plane to sit on if I want to see this side of the features or the left side or the right side of the features. And there's one point when you're getting closer to Portland, you can see all the mounts in one view, which is Mount St. Rainier, Mount Adams, Mount Hood, the Three Sisters, Mount Bachelor, all of those things you can see in one view. You know, if you're sitting at the right place and if the lighting is right, and if you're sitting on the right side of the plane, not the other side. And if you're sitting on the other side, by the way, you do see Mount Shasta, very beautiful view of Mount Shasta. And the plane flies like very close to it. Like it's almost like, you know, as if the plane is trying to land on Mount Shasta. The top of the mountain feels so close to you. Anyway, these are very beautiful sights that I have seen so many times on my plane rides from California to Portland. So the point I'm trying to make is that you have to go into an aeroplane if you want to see all these things together. But on the ground, you can't. So you need a special instrument. You need this thing called an aeroplane to fly all the way up and to go there. And it's a very, very expensive piece of equipment. It wasn't even there 100 years ago. You couldn't do that, It's only possible now after so much of technological advancements. So when Arjuna asks that I want to see not just all of Oregon, but your whole material create, your whole that full form, he needs special instruments, way more sophisticated than a Boeing or whatever aeroplane that you can sit in. And there, Lord Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, you can't see the whole form. You can see the Himalayas, you can see the Ganges, but seeing the entire universal form, you need special eyes. So Lord Krishna grants him what he calls as Divya Drishti, the celestial eyes, the celestial vision. So through that, it's like putting Arjuna in an aeroplane, special instruments or special eyes you can think of. So like, a better way to explain, I gave the analogy of Oregon, but if you want to see distant galaxies, they are there, they are out there, just like Oregon is there. Because you're on the ground, you can't see it, but it's still there. Similarly, those galaxies and those distant things are there. And when you look up into the sky, if it's a clear night, you can't see those. What do you need to see those? You need a telescope. And if you have a telescope, then you can see some parts of things that you can't see with your eyes. So it's like, you need those. And the bigger telescope you have, the more you can see. And telescopes start at like $50 and go to billions of dollars. And the $1 billion telescopes are called things like the Hubble telescope. I mean, you and I can't buy it, but governments can buy those or build those. And so governments have built those telescopes. And so through those telescopes, you can see fabulous things that you can't see with your naked eyes. So that is the Divya Drishti. So Krishna is going to give Arjuna that vision through which he can see this entire form at one place. At once he can see it. So, and then Arjuna sees this whole universal form, the Vishwarupa form of the Lord. So let's see. I again, I could just keep talking like this for an hour and a half, and then we won't finish the chapter. So let me kind of come back to my scripted, talk. I don't want to go what you call off the script of my teleprompter. You know that if you go off the teleprompter these days, it leads you into trouble. We've seen that. Yeah. So now another problem. So I mentioned one problem that you have when you desire to see this whole form completely sitting at one place. First of all, sitting at one place, you can't see everything. The other problem is that there are a lot of obstructions to see. Even if it's like you have the line of sight, there are too many obstructions and you just can't see. So you have to have like X-ray vision to penetrate through the obstructions to see everything. I'm talking from our non-celestial standpoint. So for example, if there is a cloudy sky, you can't see the stars. One of the things that frustrates the astronomers or the stargazers the most is cloudy skies. So they hate cloudy skies because it obstructs their astronomy. So even in the universe, there are so many things that obstruct our vision. For example, there are these big nebulas. They are all surrounded by big clouds. So you can't see what's inside a nebula because there are these big Magellanic or big dust clouds surrounding the whole nebula. Even if you have the biggest telescope ever built, You can see very clearly the clouds. You can't see what's on the other side of the cloud. So the size of the telescope also will not help. You need some kind of vision to penetrate that. So that is another aspect of the Divya Drishti that the Lord provides. He gives you not only this big telescope where you can see the whole thing or far away things, but you can penetrate and see the whole thing as well, even if there are obstructions in between. Okay, it's like having an X-ray machine to see inside your bones. I can look very closely on your body. I won't see the bones. I need X-ray vision. That's point number two. And the third point is you cannot see anything fully in which you are sitting. Okay, think about it. If you are in the house, you cannot see how the house looks as a whole. You can only see how much you are able to see in your vision from the inside. So a very good example of this, a real example, is we do not have a till the time man went into space, he did not have a vision or a full map of the globe. He could not see the earth as a globe. So you, by being on the land, you cannot see the earth as a globe. You have to go far away because you're on the planet. You have to go far away from it, then you can see something else out there. Similarly, we have a lot of scientific data to show us a picture of the Milky Way galaxy. It is called an artist's rendition or a scientifically made picture of the Milky Way galaxy, but we do not have a picture by a camera of the Milky Way galaxy. We have a picture of other galaxies like the Andromeda galaxy, the Whirlpool galaxy, other galaxies pictures we have. But because we are inside the Milky Way galaxy, we cannot see the Milky Way galaxy as a whole. You have to be away from it. So because we are in the material world, how can we see the whole material world in front of us? We cannot. So that is another problem. We have to go out of the material world and then we can see, aha, there is the material world. Like when man went into space, then he could see, that's the earth. Okay, so these are the problems or the reasons because of which Lord Krishna has to give Divya Drishti or the transcend or the divine vision, the celestial divine vision. And Krishna gives this sort of view of the entire universe, of not just the universe, our universe, but all the universe, the entire material creation. If you remember that famous poster that we used to show, which basically had one big universe, but it did have many other universes coming from the body of Mahavishnu. That whole material creation, including all the universes, is what is the universal form, the entire sum total of all material creation. That is the universal form of the Lord that we are going to see. Okay, with that, and I will continue my sort of side sort of description as we go along, but at this point, I'd like to have you start reading the 11th chapter. Okay, so let me share my screen and I will show you. Chapter 11, you can see here, is divided into 5 different sections broadly. And there are different devotees and different acharyas who could subdivide these sections in a slightly different way. That's fine. I don't remember where I took this from, but this seems to be a reasonable breakdown of chapter 11 in terms of sections. A lot of wonderful devotees have created sections, and just to give credit to all of them, there are devotees like His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu, disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He created wonderful sections of Bhagavad Gita at the end of his book called Surrender Unto Me. Then Chaitanya Charan Prabhu has created very described sections in his talks. And then there is Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. He has created very nicely sections. And there are few others which probably I am forgetting. So, all glories to all these wonderful devotees. And whatever I'm showing is what I have learned from them. So, the first section is Arjuna's request to see the universal form in 4 verses. And then in another 4 verses, 5 to 8, Lord Krishna says, okay, good enough. You want to see it? I'm going to show you. So it's like, Arjuna is like a kid in the candy store. I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to see that. And Lord Krishna is like, okay, you can have whatever you want. Today is your day. Go ahead and ask, and all your wishes will be granted. So from 9 to 31 is the description of the Arjuna, of the universal form. First, the first 6 verses are by Sanjaya. Remember, Sanjaya is the one that is narrating Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. And then the conversation transitions directly into first person. Arjuna is continuing the description from 15 to 31. And then I'll describe this in a little more detail. Arjuna gets really afraid. It's like you got to be careful what you ask for. So he, what's a good analogy? Like, again, like a father and son, on the son's birthday, the father says, okay, you can watch any movies today. We'll go theater hopping, one theater to another theater to another theater. And then the child says, oh, I want to watch this movie. And it happens to be a horror movie. And so the child says, and the dad thinks, will my child be able to handle it? So he gives him some special protection, some special, things, but he says, okay, you can see it. But then the child gets really scared. Oh my God, what did I ask? So Arjuna becomes really scared. And then he starts praying to Lord Krishna. Those prayers are the 3rd section or the 4th section, 35 to 46. First he says, my God, I'm so shocked. Who are you? I thought you are my sweet Lord, but I didn't realize that you had this completely different side of you, this very shockingly violent form. And so, of course, he had no doubt that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, but this is the first time he saw this full ghastly form of the Lord. The Lord is there, and he is still Arjuna's Lord, and Arjuna already knows this. But he just didn't realize in its full fury how ghastly, how violent Lord's form can be. He saw the Lord's energy. Remember in chapter 7, Lord Krishna says about this material world is comprised of his 8 inferior energies. Bhumir, Apa, Anala, Vayu, Kha, Mana, Buddhir, Evacha, Ahankara, Iti, Yamme, Bhinna, Prakritir, Ashtadha. So he says, these are my 8 inferior material, Prakritir, material energies, Bhinna, Prakritir, Ashtadha. So these are my 8 natures or my material natures, 8 energies. So Lord's energy is visible. This inferior form of Lord's energy in the material world is visible to Arjuna in its full fury. And he gets scared. And then he requests Lord Krishna, I've had enough. Take me out of this horror movie. I don't want to finish this movie. Let's leave right now. And take me to the nicest movie ever. And the nicest movie for the child is not a movie. It's like, Dad, I'm done with horror movies. Let's go have an ice cream. That's what I really love to do with you. And that is when when Arjuna asks Lord Krishna, please return to your original form. But before he returns to the original form, Arjuna asks one more thing. I know you are that same Supreme Lord Narayana. So please show me your Narayana form. That again, that desire, that beautiful desire comes in his heart. He knows that that Narayana form is not a horror movie. It's a, very sweet, very, very, wonderful form of the Lord. He says, before you return to your Krishna form, I want to see your Narayana form. And Lord Krishna says, no problem. As I said, Lord Krishna is on a roll. He's granting all wishes to Arjuna. So he shows the Narayana form as well. So, what more can you ask at that point? And, like Dhruva, he saw the Narayana form of the Lord after praying for 6 months of doing extreme amount of tapasya, that the whole universe got shaken up by his tapasya. Then he saw the Narayana form. Arjuna just saw it by asking. So he sees the Narayana form and then the Krishna form. And then there is a surprise at the end, which I will come to at the end of the class. So there's still one more surprise. So that is how the sections are divided. So we will start with the first section. Let me see quickly here. All right. So I'll read the first verse and then you can, I'll ask you to read till, or maybe I can read the first four. Okay. So universal form, chapter 11. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna, I'll read the English to save time. It's already 4:35. Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. So that's the first thing that Arjuna is saying. This is very important. A lot of commentators have commented that after seeing the universal form, Arjuna actually realizes the greatness or the supremacy of Lord Krishna, that he is the supreme Lord. That's wrong. And Srila Prabhupada says uh, that he already knows. There is no doubt in Arjuna's mind. He doesn't need any confirmation. It's not for the sake of confirmation or proof. It's just the sweet revelations, curiosity. Just like I said, father telling the son about his past life, not past life, but his past whatever career or other things that he did. Not because the child doesn't trust that my father is as good as he claims, but he's just interested to know various aspects of his father. So Arjuna is clearly saying, Mohoyam vigato mama. Moha means illusion. Mohoyam vigata. Vigata means has been removed. Mama, my illusion has been removed. So he starts off with that. He's not trying to test Krishna. Text 2. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. Again, he is continuing with glorifying Lord Krishna and acknowledging that he realizes that he is the Supreme Lord, that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, Parameshwara. He is already addressing Krishna as Parameshwara, not Govinda. Govinda means one who gives pleasure. So yes, Krishna is sweet, but he is specifically referring to Krishna as Parama Ishwara, the Supreme Lord. Literal translation of Parameshwara is Supreme Lord, Param Ishwar. Okay. So, O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. Drashtum ichhami te rupam aishwaram purushottama. So that Aishwarya form, that form which invokes Aishwarya, the awe and reverence. My God, my Lord is so great. It's like Bill Gates's son asking Bill Gates, Dad, show me your bank checkbook or your bank balance. He knows his dad is great and he's the richest man and he's just but he's, can you actually show me how much money you have? Like take me into your vault and I want to see how much your big bank looks like. Kind of like that. Maybe not a good analogy, but anyway. So he really wants to now see, just to appreciate, to kind of express his appreciation for for Lord Krishna, for no other reason. Srila Prabhupada writes there in the purport that here, Arjuna has no special desire to see him in his universal form. For Arjuna is completely satisfied to see him in his personal form. And it's not to convince himself, but to convince others that Arjuna did not have any personal desire for confirmation. So Srila Prabhupada is writing that. Now, another point Srila Prabhupada is making in this purport is that one who claims to be Krishna, in the last line, one who claims to be Krishna should be prepared to show his universal form to confirm his claim to the people. Very, very important point. So many people today claim, I am God. You'll find so many people saying, I am God, I am God, I am God. If they say, I am God, like Arjuna is asking, we should go and ask them, oh, you are God, you are Parameshwara, please can you show me your universal form? And then we should see what their reply is. If they can show the universal form, then we can accept them as God. Otherwise, we should not accept such so-called people as God. One can call themselves as devotees of God. That is perfect. Then we should definitely touch their feet. We should fall at their feet and ask for their blessings. But if they claim, I am God, then we should ask them, can you please show us the universal form? Kind of like that. So that is the point Srila Prabhupada is making. Text 4. If you think I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. So here, another point that is coming here, Krishna is saying, if you think I can behold it, can you kindly show it to me? So he's very humbly asking. So devotees never demand anything from God. Pure devotees, God, give me this, give me that. They request, and they only request not for their own material benefit, but for their spiritual ecstasy. For it's an action of, or it's an exchange or a reciprocation of love. I want to see you in this, like, between husband and wife, husband may tell the wife, hey, can you put on that sari that I got for you as a gift, on the whatever, on your birthday. I want to see you in that sari or in that dress. Like that. It's not like a demand. Out of love, he's asking. So that is one point. And the other point, and Srila Prabhupada is making very strongly, is that Krishna cannot be figured out by speculative strength. Devotees only devotees can know Krishna because Krishna can reveal himself to the devotees. And Arjuna is a devotee and he is asking Krishna, can you please show me this aspect of yours? And because there is this loving relationship, as you know by now, between Lord and his devotees, there can be this sort of acts of revelation. Okay, I'll show you this. You go and try asking Bill Gates, can you show me your checkbook or your bank balance? He won't show you, but to his loving son or to somebody he loves, he'll say, yeah, everything is, it's all open. You can see whatever you want. You are my close friend. So like that. Then text number 5. Now Lord Krishna starts speaking for 4 more verses. This is the Lord Krishna's description of the universal form. I'm going to stop sharing here and I'll share again later. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine, and multicolored forms. So, okay, I'll read ahead. Text 6. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen before. Text 7. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, this is important, everything moving and non moving is here completely in one place. So Krishna is showing him that compressed, that, like you're trying to see all of Oregon, or you're trying to see all the whole earth from a spaceship. So you're seeing Krishna is saying, I'm going to show you everything, the whole earth. Nothing will be left out. The whole earth will be seen from one place, from one spot. So the whole material creation, Arjuna will be able to see. I will go a little bit deeper into these verses as well. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. Divyam dadami te chakshuh pashyame yogamaishwaram. So Krishna says, Divyam dadami te chakshu. Dadami. Remember the word dadami? It occurred before also in Bhagavad Gita. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. That I give them the intelligence, buddhi yogam, by which the devotees come to me. So again, the word Krishna is saying, Dadami, there it was buddhi yogam, now here it is divya chakshu. So divya chakshu is being given, and then Krishna says, Pashyame yogam aishwaram, see my mystic opulence, see the whole grandeur of my universal form in one place. So we'll go back to verse number 5. And the purport by Srila Prabhupada is very important, and I want to read that. So I'm going to read the entire, it's not a big purport, but it's very important, where Srila Prabhupada is describing what exactly is the universal form. So purport of text 5. Arjun wanted to see Krishna in his universal form, which, although a transcendental form, is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subject to the temporary time of this material nature. So the point to understand here is that the universal form is the material form. Okay, and it is in the material world. It's not the form of the spiritual plus material. No, it is just the material form. Okay, I think it may make sense for me to just kind of show that chart again. So here, if you see in this chart, this is our famous chart. It's there on that Gita PDX folder, which you all should have access to. I keep repeating that all the time. This part, the bottom part here, this whole thing, this bottom circle or semicircle, whatever you call it, is the material world, within which there are so many universes, as you can see. One of the universes has been zoomed into to show you the internal contents of that universe. Garbhodakshai, Vishnu, and the 14 levels of planets, from Brahmaloka to Patal with Bhuloka in the middle, Svargloka somewhere, a little bit above. All those things are there in the material world. So this is the whole universal form. It's not the whole thing, including the spiritual world. It's not. Okay. So just wanted to make that point here. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is writing. I'll continue. As the material nature is manifested and not manifested, similarly, this universal form of Krishna is manifested and non-manifested. So we heard that this material universe gets manifested and becomes unmanifested. We talked about it in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, how these universes have a time scale. We talked about the time scale of Lord Brahma, his life being 311 trillion years by our calculations. And this universe lasts for that long. And then it becomes unmanifested, goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. So it comes into existence, goes out of existence. In the same way, the material, the universal form entirely comes into existence, goes out of existence. That is the point. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. All of Krishna's other forms are in the spiritual world, or they have a spiritual position. They descend to the material world, like Narsinghadev came down to the material world. Lord Rama came down to material world. Vaman Dev uh, and so many others came down to material world, but they have a position in the spiritual world. There is a Narsingha in the spiritual world. There is Goloka. There is Vaikuntha. There is all these different planets in the spiritual world. But the universal form is material. That is what is written here. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. As far as a devotee is concerned, he is not eager to see this universal form, but because Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in this way, Krishna reveals this form. So Arjuna is just having a blast. He says, "Hey, Krishna, can you please show me this?" But he didn't know what he's entering into. He was entering into a horror movie. Very quickly, he comes out. This universal form is not possible to be seen by any ordinary man. Krishna must give one the power to see it. So Krishna has to give the power. That's what he's called as the Divya Drishti or the Divya Chakshu. Okay. Text number 7, there is a very important word called Iha Ekastham. In this one place, I want to see your universal form. Ekastham is an important word. It's like trying to say, show me the whole thing in one place. Like I am standing here, please show me all of Oregon. Or I am standing on the earth, can you please show me the whole earth? Okay. Then the whoever will tell you, okay, let's go and sit in a spaceship, and we'll go in the spaceship and you can see the whole earth. So you need the whole spaceship instrument. In the same way, Krishna gives divine vision instrument, so to say. You can think of it like telescopes, very powerful telescope to see the whole universal form. So ekastham, in one place I want to see. This word will also come in 11.13, 13th verse. Arjuna says, now I can see the whole thing standing right here. Ekastham. When we reach 13, we will see. Arjuna acknowledges, thank you so much. I can see everything now in one place. Okay. And then 8th verse, Krishna says that you need special eyes. Divyam dadami te chakshuhu. Pashyame yogam Aishwaram. Now we switch to Sanjaya's description of the universal form for the next 6 verses, 9 to 14. So this was our next section in the Bhagavad, in this chapter, which I had shown you. Let me bring that up again, and please take 1 minute and read these 6 verses, which is the second section, the subsection. I'll highlight here. Am I sharing screen? These 6 verses, please read, 9 to 14. Okay, 20 more seconds. Okay. I hope you've finished reading. It was just 6 verses, just the translations. So let me stop sharing. Okay. So Arjuna is very, very surprised, or very, he's just awestruck seeing this universal form. In the last line of verse number 11, he says, Sarva Ashcharya Mayam Devam. Ashcharya, you can understand like wonderstruck. One translation of Ashcharya is surprised or completely like shocked or wonderstruck. Srila Prabhupada translates this into wondrous, all wondrous. Sarva Ashcharya Mayam Devam Anantam Vishwato Mukham. So Vishwato Mukham is the universal form. Where did we encounter this word Vishwato Mukham before? Remember? Anybody? Quiz time. Huh?
9.15.
That's right, Ram. Thank you. It was in 9.15. If you remember, when we were reading the 9th chapter, we said that the 9.15th verse is the index verse to a large part of the Bhagavad Gita, which will follow later. And Krishna talks about 3 forms in which people realize him. There were 2 sort of in a whole spectrum. There were the pure devotees on one side, which is described in 9.13 and 14. And the Mahatmanas Tumam Partha Daivim Prakritim Ashritam. That's the 9.13 beginning. These are the pure devotees of the Lord. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Drhavrataha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upasate. That is 9.14. So these are the characteristics of pure devotees. And on the other end is the demons. It starts with the what is that? Mudha Manushim Tanum Ashritam Param Avajananti Mam Mudha Manushim Tanum Ashritam Param Bhavam Ajananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. That these fools, they think I am Manushim Manushim Tanum Ashritam. I am just a human being. And they are like Asurim Rakshasas, Krishna calls in 9.12. So they are the 2 ends. And then in between, he says there are 3 more categories, large categories of people who are the Ekatvena, Prithaktwena Bahudha, and Vishwato Mukham. So we had discussed this in 9th chapter. You can go and look at it again. And now, and at that time we had said that the whole description of this Vishwato Mukham will come in the 11th chapter. That is the Vishwato Mukham that is being described here. That Arjuna is Ashcharya Chakit. Sarva Ashcharya Mayam Devam Anantam Vishwato Mukham. So I just wanted to point out that cross-reference of the same term Vishwato Mukham here, and which was mentioned in the 9th chapter. So there was a pointer reference in the 9th chapter which is being described here. Then 9.12, very nice verse. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapad Uttita. So, like if hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. So what is Sanjaya describing as that if thousands of suns were to rise, that is the vision, that's what it looks like, this universal form. So the point being made here is that this universal form is so energetic, like thousands of suns. There is so much energy packed into this universal form. Basically, what is Krishna doing? He's packing the whole energy of the entire material world, all the universes put together, and showing him that whole in one compressed way in one place, ekastham. So imagine how much energy is being experienced by Arjuna, like thousands of suns. So I want to show you one sort of, I thought I'll show you something here. So, and to just give you a sense of how much energy is there in the, is being radiated while this universal form is being shown. So, can you see this? Am I sharing? Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you, this picture was taken looking out of the window of an aeroplane by a photograph, by a camera. What do you see here? Anybody? What do you see in the picture?
I see the sun.
Okay, you see the sun.
Yes.
Anybody else sees anything different?
And I also see, like, above the sun, I see this blackish.
No, just one thing. I'm not asking for everything that you see. What's the main thing you see?
A sun.
The sun. Anybody has a different answer? You all agree with
Reflection of
the
sun?
sun? Huh? Sorry?
Sun and part of earth.
Okay, but the main thing you see, the bright thing, is the sun, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the wrong answer. This is not the sun. It's looking like the sun. It is basically a nuclear explosion taking place of a nuclear bomb, a test bomb. And this happened to be the largest nuclear bomb ever exploded. It was exploded in 1961, a test explosion, not on actual human beings, by the Soviet Union at that time. And this was known as the Tsar Bomba. It was bigger than any man-made explosion ever. And this picture was taken from very, very far away, almost like 200 kilometers away. It's almost like taking a picture from while you're in an aeroplane above Portland of an explosion happening in Seattle. It's that far away. I hope you can understand the difference, Portland to Seattle. Or I don't know what's a comparable other distance. So that far away, but it's appearing like a sun is rising. But that's just one bomb. How much energy is there? And this bomb was 2,400 times more powerful than the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 2,400 times more powerful. It's like 2,400 bombs, atom bombs of Hiroshima or Nagasaki being exploded at the same time. And that's looking like one sun. So I just wanted to show this to kind of show you sort of the description that we are reading. Thousands of suns are being described, are being seen by Arjuna and Sanjaya. How much energy might have been there in that vision? How much, so much of energy and heat is there. So just wanted to give you a sense, a small sense of that energy in that vision that they are seeing. This, our largest nuclear explosion, is nothing compared to that vision. That's the point I'm trying to make. So powerful vision they were seeing. And this is a very famous picture of the universal form. You will see this is drawn by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. By reading this chapter, many things, many aspects are there. Not everything in this chapter is in this picture, but many aspects are there. But basically the point is that this picture has been drawn by devotees, not by mere artists. They have read the scripture and then tried to represent the picture to be faithful to the scriptures. So in that sense, it is nicely made. Okay, so this is the form kind of, and it's not possible to show it in a picture, the amount of energy like I described It's just not possible. But this is again just like we say, an artist's rendition, but after reading the scriptures. Just like those who have drawn the picture of Milky Way galaxy, they didn't just draw it out of imagination. It's based on scientific facts, but still it's not a real picture taken from far away. You are sitting inside and you are seeing it from by making reasonable uh, you know basing it on reasonable arguments. So I just wanted to show that. And what else? Another thing I wanted to point out, yes, which is this thing. In the purport of 11.13, Srila Prabhupada is writing this sentence. Others on the battlefield could not see this form because Krishna gave the vision only to Arjuna. That we know now. Krishna gives this Divya Chakshu to Arjuna in verse number 8. And only therefore Arjuna can see it. It's like Arjuna gets the ticket to the spaceship. Whoever gets to sit in the spaceship can see the whole earth. Everybody who is on the ground cannot see it. Correct? So Arjuna has the special ticket to the spaceship. That's why he can see. Now the question that some people ask, and the answer I have shown here, the question is, Arjuna can see Krishna, which is the most superior form, correct? The form of Krishna is more superior than the universal form. We know that from 9th chapter. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritam. So that is the devotees can see Lord Krishna in his, they know him in full. Okay. So when Arjuna could see Krishna in the full form, why couldn't he see the universal form without the eyes, without the special Divya Chakshu? Why is it? So the point that has been explained by various Gurujanas is that there are different criteria needed to see different forms of the Lord. Just because one is a pure devotee, it's like a father, he does not want to show everything. Like if you love your little child very much, it's not like you will show him the horror movie every day. You want to actually protect him because he will get afraid. That's why they have all these ratings on movies, PG, PG-13, whatever, restricted or R. So parents can protect the children from seeing some things which they cannot tolerate. So it's not like if you are the loving son of the father will show you everything that you are not able to see. So the criteria are different. To see the universal form, you need the right kind of eyes, which we saw here, Divya Chakshu. To see the Paramatma form of the Lord, we saw from 6th chapter, you need to control the mind. By absolute control of the mind, you can see the Paramatma inside. Arjuna says, sorry, I can't do it. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balabhadridam. That I cannot see this form. My mind is so chanchal. I can control the wind, vayuriva sudushkaram. It's more difficult to control the mind than to control the wind, vayu. So how hard it is to control the mind, but that is the criteria to see Paramatma. And to see Bhagavan, the personal form of the Lord, you need the right consciousness, that of a devotee, the right kind of bhava in your soul. So it is a transformation of the soul that is needed. And Arjuna has that bhava. His consciousness is pure Krishna consciousness. So therefore he can see the Bhagavan form. So he already has that qualification. You do need a qualification, like I cannot see personal form of Krishna because I don't have that bhava. So what is needed is the transformation of the consciousness or the soul, which also they didn't have anybody on the battlefield. Many of the people in the battlefield did not have that. Bhishma Pitama had that. He's a pure devotee of the Lord. He could see the Lord. but he happened to be on the opposite side, but he had a pure consciousness. For seeing the Paramatma, you need transformation of the mind, and to see the universal form, you need transformation of the eyes. So that is the reason Arjuna could see the personal form, but not the universal form without special eyes. And another thing, so this is all one side, sort of sidebar or my own descriptions that I wanted to cover through the, or as part of the 11th chapter. Another part I wanted to cover is there is a very wonderful, not a description, but the essence of the universal form in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And let's look at this verse 1.3.30. So by the way, by now you should all be very familiar in browsing Vedabase. So you go to vedabase.io, and then if you want to go to 1.3.30, how do you go? You go to Srimad Bhagavatam here. You click on this. You can see here Srimad Bhagavatam. And then 1.3.30, which means 1 means Canto 1. So that's the first digit, 1. So you go to Canto 1. 1.3 means the third chapter of Canto 1. So you go to chapter 3. And 30, 1.3.30 means the 30th verse. So I go to the scroll down and go to the 30th verse. And I click on text 30. And here, Lord Krishna, actually Shukadev Goswami, and in a sense Sutta Goswami, is describing this to the sages. And here the description is given: the conception of the Virat universal form of the Lord as appearing in the material world is imaginary. Why it is imaginary? Because it is not spiritual. Everything that is not spiritual is imaginary, or is non-spiritual. That is the essence that you have to get. It is to enable, now here is the main point, the purpose of the universal form. This is not meant for devotees or pure devotees. This is meant for beginners. So this is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes. Neophytes means novices, beginners, to adjust to the idea that the Lord has a form. The Lord's having a form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. In the Bhagavan, the Swarupa, the full Bhagavan Swarupa has no tinge of matter. It's purely spirit. His whole form is completely spiritual, has nothing material. So this universal form, the real purpose is for beginners to begin to appreciate, this whole big universe exists. It is so great. And if this universe is so great, there must be a creator of this universe. Even before that, the first understanding is, my God, this is such a great universe. This must be God. Who is God? God is the greatest. We know that, right? We can say, I am God. Wait a minute. I am not God, because the other guy can come and shoot me. Who can shoot God? God means nobody should kill me. Like in video games, you have God mode. God mode means nobody can kill you in the video game, right? So if somebody can kill me, how can I be God? Oh, then I go and see the king. The king may be God because he is the most powerful, but he also dies one day. So he cannot be God. Like this, philosophers can keep arguing, and finally they come with the conclusion, the greatest, most awesome thing in this whole universe is the universe itself. So the universe must be God. That is the Vishwarupa form. So yes, it is the inferior energy of the Lord, but it is meant to give people an understanding that the Lord has a form. Then some of the intelligent people within that will think, oh, if this universe exists, there must be a creator of the universe. Who is that? And then they begin to go into the spiritual dimension. So this is meant for the beginners. That's the main point I was trying to show. And there also Lord Krishna in the whole spectrum also said, this is in the middle. It's better than the demoniac people who think I am God. Like Hiranyakashipu, he said, I am God. He told all the people, you start worshipping me. Don't worship Vishnu. Indra, all the devas were worshipping Hiranyakashipu. They replaced their worship of Vishnu with worship of Hiranyakashipu. There was only one person who did not replace it. Who was that? His own son, Prahlad. And which is why he got so mad at him. That the whole universe worships me. Why don't you worship me? So the point is that one begins to wonder that I am not God. This universe must be God. But wait a minute. Somebody must have created this universe. Who is that? So it allows the people to progress in the spiritual direction. Okay, so I wanted to make that point about this slide. Now, so we read up to, oh my God, it's already 5:15. Okay, let's make progress. So we read up to 14. Now we will go from 15 to 30. So there are four different sections between 15 to 30. This is Arjuna's now. Arjuna is taking over the conversation. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's going into first person mode. And Arjuna is describing the form. So screen sharing is on, right? So I'll leave the screen sharing on. We will go section by section or subsection by subsection. This is from 15 to 31. If you remember, 15 to 31 was the description of universal form by Arjuna. That is the section we are in, 15 to 31. Okay, so please read 15 to 20. This one, vision of the universe. So Arjuna is simply describing the universe, the whole universal form that he's seeing, just as description of that, as Arjuna is seeing. So please read those 6 verses. 1 minute. We got to speed up. Twenty seconds. Okay. So I hope you read those verses 15 to 20. So first, the description starts off nice. I see Brahma, I see Lord Shiva, Brahma sitting on a lotus flower, and all the divine sages, divine serpents, known as Vasuki and others. And then he says in verse number 16, Pashyami Vishveshwara Vishwarupam. So another name for the Vishwato Mukham form is Vishwarupam. So that's why this chapter is known as Vishwarupa Yoga. So that word Vishwarupa is coming from 16th verse. That I see Pashyami Vishveshwara Vishwarupam. I am seeing the universal form of yourself. Then in 17th verse, he begins to little bit get the fear is kind of beginning to show. The cracks are beginning to show. By the time we reach 24th verse here, effect on Arjuna, he will be completely horrified. The horror movie will take its toll. So right now in the 17th verse, it's beginning to take its toll. So how it is beginning to take its toll? Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence. Teja Rashim. It's Teja Rashi. Lot of energy. Teja. So much fire, so much effulgence is there. And it is difficult to see. Um, Durniriksham, which
चाय
means,
भी बना के रखूंगा.
sorry, please mute. So it is very difficult to see. Okay. Then he goes on and describes the universal form that he is seeing all the way up to 20. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then from 21 to 23. So effect on the universe. So I have repeated the number 20 here because vision of the universe and effect on the universe is both there in 20. Both topics are there in verse 20. So you can read 20 again because it says all the planetary systems are perturbed. So it's the effect of the universal form being shown on the universe itself, because that whole universal form has been compressed into one place for Arjuna to see. So please read up to 23, 1 minute. Okay, 10 more seconds. Okay, great. So what is the essence here? We could see some cracks in the previous verse, right? Now the cracks are widening. Now, the horror movie is unfolding. Now, first he says, I cannot see. First, it's like the child, I cannot understand what's going on. Where is this ghost coming from? I cannot understand. Now the child is seeing other people in the movie getting scared. So first the innocent people in the movie get scared, right? Then the viewers get scared. So here in this section, the effect on the universe is that the other demigods, they are being scared. Arjuna is saying, oh my God, they're getting scared. And their scares then comes on, catches on to the viewer. So he will get scared, terribly scared in the next section, 24, 25. But here it is the effect on the others. So as you can see here, it is written that some of them very much afraid, all these demigods and others are surrendering to you. Some of them very much afraid are offering prayers with folded hands. And then in 23, it says, Arjuna says, where is that? And they are disturbed, and so am I. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing this, your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I. So now the fear has, or the horror has caught up to him fully. Now he is now scared, completely scared. So 24 and 25 is the effect on Arjuna. So now he is describing, oh my God, I'm scared. So I'll read those two verses. O all-pervading Vishnu, Seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed with fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. So, dhritam na vindami samam cha vishnavo. So, dhritim means my steadiness, and samam means my calmness. Srila Prabhupada is translating that as my mental tranquility. I cannot have that. Na vindami. Na vindami means I cannot maintain, I cannot have my dhriti and sama. My, my mind is getting shaken up. 25. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing death like faces and awful teeth. In all directions, I am bewildered. So now the horror movie is fully unfolding, and Arjuna is in some trouble. He didn't know what he was asking for, and now he's getting the full horror, so to say. So, what is the point of all this horror? Okay, before that, let's finish this section. So, it's like Krishna is a horror movie. Is that the understanding? What is Krishna horrible? Horror means horrible. The word horrible comes from horror. So, is Krishna horrible because it's all horror? What is the thing? So, it's not horror. It is the energy. It's like you are. It's not like a ghost is trying to catch someone and tear him apart and a lot of blood, and not that kind of horror. It's like in Oregon we had those forest fires, and if you go and actually look at a forest fire, and there are all these videos on YouTube of, like, on the highways, some cars are driving and they are seeing the forest fire on both sides of the highway, and it's that kind of horror. Like, you can see the energy, the energy of nature in its full force. When nature is calm, everything is good. When hurricane comes, Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Harvey, ask those people. When nature shows its form, full energy, that becomes like that vision. So there is the point is there is so much energy in the material universe. We cannot see it, and I will explain why we cannot see it in everyday life, but there is so much energy. Okay, now Arjuna in 26 to 30, he will see the vision of the battlefield. More horror he will see. All these criminals, like all the Kauravas, all the people who did sinful activities, by the law of nature, which has been created by Krishna, are going to be killed. He sees everybody getting killed and crushed. So we will see that. Please take 1 minute, read 26 to 30, 6 verses. Ten seconds. Okay, so he can see the effect of the Lord's energy, how the Lord's energy works. So basically, all the miscreants, all the criminals are getting killed because of Lord's energy. And this is also a description of the Lord's law of nature, the law of karma, how these are so helpless people that they are getting crushed under the law of karma of the material world. That the Lord Krishna has put in place in the material world. So nobody can escape that. Now, the point is, so again, little bit expanding on that point of the sort of the amount of energy in the material universe is so much, and we cannot perceive it on day-to-day basis. Sometimes we perceive it because of when we see forest fires or hurricanes or earthquakes, uh, etc. We can see how much energy is packed into nature. So I just wanted to show some pictures. So this is a picture of the universal form, again, that I had shown earlier. And by the way, as a side note, I put these two pictures. I think we are running out of time. Two other times Krishna showed the universal form to Mother Yashoda in his mouth when she thought he was eating dirt. And she said, Krishna, open your mouth. And all his other friends told on him, Mother Yashoda, see, Krishna is eating dirt, Krishna is eating dirt. So they kind of told on him. And, so Mother Yashoda really asks Krishna to open the mouth. And when he opens the mouth, she sees the entire cosmic manifestation in his mouth, because everything is within Krishna. And then she faints. But then Krishna makes her forget, because he doesn't want her mother to start thinking, oh, this my little boy is Supreme Lord. Krishna wants to receive the motherly love. So he makes her forget that, so that she can continue to love Krishna like a mother, which means loving like a mother sometimes means scolding also. That is also part of being a mother. If mother knows my son is the Supreme Lord, she would never scold. She would never have that full flavor of mother and son relationship. Another example is that of Markandeya Rishi. This is in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he sees the universe, he goes into the belly of Krishna. And there he sees the whole creation inside Krishna. So this whole universal form he sees. So and then even Duryodhan saw it. Lord Krishna showed a partial universal form when he went as a peace messenger, that let's not have the war. And Duryodhan and Krishna didn't show the universal form saying, I am God, you must agree to me. Not for that reason. He just was Krishna himself. Duryodhan said, arrest him. You're never supposed to arrest a messenger. And he actually said, arrest him and kill him. Duryodhan tried to kill Krishna, just like Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Narsingadev. This is the mentality of demons. They have no idea. They think they can kill God. First of all, they don't know this person is God. That's the problem. And so they try to think, I can overpower him. So he said, kill him. Then Lord Krishna said, he was very angry at Duryodhan. He said, you really want to capture me? Okay, capture me. You don't know. He got really mad. And controlled anger. Of course, Krishna never gets like mad like we get mad. But anyway. So this is another slide showing the entire, what is known as the observable universe. I just want to show the huge universal form, what was being shown in a compact way. It's full of energy, full of power. And this is, again, an artist's rendition. This is not the real one, but it is made out of scientific data, but put together of a map of the universe. One universe only, not many. Here I have a picture of many universes. This is again an artist rendition based on Hawking's final paper, multiverse. So this is the picture I could find, which has all the universes, a scientific picture based on a scientific paper. A picture was made. Kind of looks very much like the other picture that we saw over here. If you see all these universes coming from Vishnu's body, and if you see this one, kind of all universes coming from somewhere. They don't know it's coming from Vishnu's body, but science is kind of, getting closer to what we are already reading from our Vedic scriptures. So anyway, so this is the hugeness of the universe that is there. This is just one universe. Every dot, by the way, that you see in this picture is a cluster of galaxies. Not only a galaxy, but a cluster of galaxies. Every dot that you see here. And this is only what humans can observe. And again, I don't want to go into the scientific details of what is the meaning of observable. Suffice it to say that the light from farther away than this has not yet reached us. It's yet trying to reach us, because light travels at a finite speed in all frames of reference. 3 times 10 to the power 9 meters per second, or 186,000 miles per second. So light has not yet reached from the farther away places of the universe to us since the universe has existed. So we haven't even been able to see it. So that is the unobservable universe. There is so much energy. And now coming slightly 2 minutes on this point of how much energy is there in the universe. This universe is just so packed with energy that, there is this, what is known as M51 in astronomy. There are these 104 or 109 or 110 Messier objects, very clear objects in the sky which are not stars. And M51 is known as a very famous whirlpool galaxy. What is less known about, it's a very beautiful spiral galaxy. You can see it through a very, very high power telescope. You can't see it just by looking. You need like a big telescope to see that kind of picture. What is lesser known is that that galaxy is eating away another smaller galaxy. It's just subsuming it. All the matter from that other galaxy, due to gravitation, is just getting sucked into this other bigger galaxy. And it must be a lot of energy is there, movement of whole galaxies occurring. On this side, there is the picture of a Crab nebula. That's the M1, the first object that was seen or labeled by Messier. And this is a very big star exploded. And that explosion was actually seen about 1,000 years ago in 1054 AD. You could see that explosion with the naked eye. And it is very, very far away. And till today, that explosion is continuing. It's like a bomb had exploded and it is still exploding. All those clouds and all that debris is still flying out after 1,000 of our years at a speed of 1,500 kilometers per second. Imagine that, 1,500 kilometers per second, the debris is still continuing to flow out, or, fly out of that explosion. So that is the amount of energy. I'm just trying to give you some very few examples just to give you a taste of how much energy is there in our universe. Another thing is this, probably the most energetic explosion that ever occurred in the universe that is known to us. The most energetic known to man explosion ever occurred. Earlier, I showed you the bomb, Tsar Bomba or something. That was a man-made explosion. This is a man-known explosion, known to man. This was discovered 5 years ago through the LIGO. LIGO is this new kind of observatory, different kind of Divya Chakshu that was created by scientists from MIT and Caltech. They got a Nobel Prize for it in 2017 for physics. Kip Thorne and other two guys, I forget their names. And they came up with this idea to be able to see this massive explosion. And this explosion is the merging of two black holes, not two galaxies like on the top figure, but of two black holes merged. And that created so much energy, it is said, in a few seconds. Just listen to this. This was completely mind-boggling to me. As much energy was released in a few seconds out of this merger as the energy of all the stars in the universe put together released over their lifetime. all the stars in the whole universe, put them together, how much energy they are releasing over their lifetime, and multiply that by 50, 50. That much energy was released in a few seconds in this merger. And it was discovered by LIGO Observatory. It's a new kind of observatory which detects gravitational waves. It's known as Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. And you can't have one observatory, you need to have two of them because you have to correlate the data. So one observatory is in Washington State, just north of California, and one is in Louisiana, I believe. And they detected this merger of the two galaxies. Such a huge explosion occurred. It's just unimaginable. And this occurred 1.3 billion years ago, and the gravitational wave data was just recorded. Again, I don't want to go into the details of space-time and how the whole space-time was rippled because of this violent explosion or this violent merger of two black holes. So that much energy was released. So the universe is all I'm trying to say. There's so much energy in the universe. Now, why don't we perceive it every day? I'm sitting nicely in my room and it's a nice, peaceful day. And you are all sitting in your rooms. Why can't we observe that energy? Because Krishna is keeping it in control. Do you know that after the Kurukshetra war, there was so many arrows, and not only just arrows like iron arrows, but with those special mantras, with those special, those arrows were like bombs, like missiles, like Srila Prabhupada has described, like the Brahmastra is the ultimate nuclear weapon in modern day technology. But the Brahmastra, I don't think was used during the Mahabharat war, except for on Ghatotkacha, I think, but other powerful weapons were used, almost equal to like very powerful nuclear weapons, were thrown on Arjuna's chariot. That chariot was given to him by his celestial father Indra. But why didn't that chariot blow up? Because Lord Krishna was sitting on it. So Lord Krishna was protecting Arjuna's chariot from all that energy that was being thrown at it. And that's why after the end of the war, the etiquette is that the charioteer gets down first and then the king gets down. So Arjuna was waiting for Krishna to get down the chariot, because the etiquette is Krishna is the charioteer. Of course, Arjuna is a great devotee, but as a matter of etiquette, he was just waiting. After Krishna gets off, I will get off. But Krishna was not getting off, and Arjuna was waiting for Krishna to respect the etiquette, even though it was etiquette in the reverse order. Then Krishna told Arjuna, you get off first. He said, okay, Krishna. Krishna is just obeying all of Arjuna is obeying all Krishna's orders. He gets off the chariot. And then as soon as Krishna gets off, that whole chariot blows up in a huge explosion. Why is that? And then Arjuna says, what happened here? Krishna says, because I was on the chariot, I was controlling all this energy and keeping it contained. The moment I got off, you would have blown up if I got off first. That's why I wanted you to get off first. And Hanumanji knew this. If you remember, Hanumanji is sitting on the flag of the chariot. He also ran away. Before Krishna got off, he saw Krishna is about to get off. He ran away because he knew even he could not tolerate that explosion. So that much energy was put on the chariot, but who was keeping it contained and calm? Krishna. So Krishna keeps all this energy contained. I'll give you another example again from my sort of understanding and my realization. In the scientific terms, there is something known as strong nuclear forces. What are strong nuclear forces? You remember, you must have read in science that positive and negative charges attract, but like charges repel, correct? So positive and positive should repel. Am I right? Now, what is the nucleus of an atom composed of? A whole bunch of protons, correct? They're all positive charges. Of course, there are neutrons which are neutral. So they are neutral guys, we can forget them. But there are a whole bunch of positive charges as well. But what is keeping the nucleus together? The nucleus does not blow up. The scientists have a theory, or not a theory, but a very strong theory, and I'll talk about it. I'm not trying to bash scientists at all. I'll describe that in a moment. They have described this as the strong nuclear force. There are four fundamental forces in nature: gravitational force, electromagnetic force, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. Weak nuclear force was detected the last, then strong nuclear. Before that, only two were known: gravitational and electromagnetic. Now, based on these two forces, you cannot explain how the nucleus is holding together. There's no gravity between the protons. I mean, there is gravity, but it is so weak that the repulsive force of electromagnetism would be far greater, that the protons should fly out. And then they were wondering, why are the protons not flying out? How is the nucleus together? Which means, how is the universe together? Because the universe is composed of atoms. If the nucleus would blow apart, it means the whole universe should not exist, because no nuclei would exist. Therefore, no atoms would exist. Therefore, no universe would exist. Then they did their scientific exploration and everything and came up with a new force, or a discovery, called strong nuclear forces. So that explained how the nucleus is getting put together. It's a new type of force which is completely different from electromagnetic and gravitational force. Now, my point is that to apply a force, you need a force applier. Somebody need to apply the force. So yes, there is a strong nuclear force. I'm not denying that. I totally respect the scientists' great discoveries they have done. But they don't delve into the question, what is the origin of the force? That is the biggest problem in science. That's the million-dollar question. What causes this force? They can describe the force. You can calculate the numbers. This is how much the force will be, so many newtons. mg, famous equation, people do in physics, high school. 10 kilogram mass means g is 10 meters per second square. So the force is 100 newtons, 10 times 10. So we all know that force is there. We have no idea what causes gravity. This is a puzzling question. Of course, there are theories about gravitons or various other theories in particle physics are there to describe the forces. There is other descriptions, but all of that is still in formulation. There is nothing that I have known out of my limited study. And by the way, my understanding is very limited. And my intention again is not to mock the science or the scientists. Science has come on a long journey, and it will continue to go on in a long journey. But the question is that one should consider who is applying the force. Who is the energetic? If there is energy, there must be an energetic source. Otherwise, how can energy exist? So what is the source of that energy? That is, our Vedas described, our scriptures described, that source of all that energy is Krishna. So who is applying the strong nuclear force? We don't have an answer today. Our scriptures say the answer is Krishna. And scientists may discover someday, they will give it some other name. They obviously won't call it God. That's the last thing scientists will do. But still, they will come up with an explanation. They will come up with a name, and we can, see the parallels at that time, like we see so many other parallels between science and spirituality. Okay. So the point is that the scientists correctly describe the behavior of the universe. There is no problem with their description. It's a correct description. but they don't ask the question very deeply on what is the cause. And at some points they say we don't care about the cause either. There is that question, but it's not the most important question to figure out where is this really coming from. As long as we can describe its behavior, we are happy, because then we can harness that energy. We can make predictions and we can harness the energy. So you're concerned with the properties, but you're not concerned with the source. And there are more things I wanted to say, maybe some other time. I'm really running out of time. And the most important part is still going to come. So maybe I'm thinking we'll have to split this chapter into another week. Okay, let's keep going for some more time. And we wanted to start our japa as well. So I absolutely want to do that. So we will stop here actually, and we will continue from text number 31. I'm sorry, I miscalculated, and but I'm going in very detailed version, very detailed way. I hope this is useful to all of you, all this description, all this understanding, and all this meditation. So I hope you are liking it more than the speed of it. Okay, couple of things I wanted to say before we do. So one thing is, this class is not just about theoretical understanding. If that's one's goal, to gain theoretical understanding, that's good. Someday, like the corn will pop, like in the popcorn we gave that example. So someday you will begin to apply it in your life. But really, the most important part of this knowledge is to apply it. Lord Krishna is not speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna so that then he can, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, he can still say, okay, Krishna, I don't want to fight. Or wait a minute, why did you tell me this whole thing again? I don't know. He's telling the Bhagavad Gita for a purpose, so that Arjuna can decide whether to fight the war or not. That was the original question. So there is some action that is going to be taken by Arjuna. So the point is that the knowledge need to be internalized and applied in your life so that you can do something useful with it, make some decisions in life and act on those decisions in your life. So one of the things that you should or you could do out of understanding Bhagavad Gita, and the most important thing that you could do as per the instructions of Lord Krishna and Acharyas, is to become Krishna conscious. And one of the best ways of becoming Krishna conscious is Shravanam and Kirtanam, hearing the name of the Lord and taking the name of the Lord. One of the best ways of Kirtanam, one way is to do music like Kirtan. Very nice. One should do that. But as Krishna himself said, Japa Yagyo Asmi, Yagyanam Japa Yagyo Asmi in 10.25. Among all the forms of Yagya, I am the Japa Yagya. So Japa of the name of the Lord is very important. So I invite all of you to start doing Japa. Japa means taking you can get a Japamala, and you can get it from our house if you are living in Portland, or you can get it from wherever. And Japamala looks like this. It's like a mala of tulsi beads. And our acharyas recommend using tulsi beads made of tulsi wood. And it's made of 108 beads. And on each bead, we repeat the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then we go to the next bead and so on. It takes about 7 minutes if done a little bit slowly. On a normal day, it takes me about 6 minutes or little less than 6 minutes as well. So per round, or for this whole round of 108 beads. So it's not a whole lot of time, but I request all of you to do at least 2 rounds. Even if you do slowly, it will take you less than 15 minutes. 15 minutes you can give to Krishna every day. Okay, that's all. So I have received a lot of Q&A. By the way, on the Q&A, I have another point to make. One of the point in Q&A is Like we discussed earlier, I don't have. Oh, I'm still sharing. Oh, you couldn't see the enlarged picture. Yeah, so here are the beads and all that. So anyway, so um, what was I saying? Yeah, people are asking how to do bhakti yoga, and or my mind is not controlled. We'll talk about those things. By the way, we'll talk about some of these topics, very practical application of the topics in a new class. We are starting a new series called Topics on Srimad Bhagavatam, or Topics from Srimad Bhagavatam, rather. So, Srimad Bhagavatam takes the concepts of Bhagavad Gita and demonstrates through practical examples of devotees. And therefore, Bhagavatam is the practical application of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why this is to keep everybody in the conversation of Bhagavad Gita for a very long time. So we will talk about chanting the holy name of the Lord and many other topics in that series. It's on Saturdays. I think email has gone to all the people who have registered. If you have not registered, please register. Can you post the registration link in the chat? Thank you. So my wife is going to post the registration link in the chat. You might have received it already in your email. Sometimes email goes into bulk for junk folder, spam folder. You can check. Otherwise, you can register in the class. It will be a very nice opportunity to continue to be in this discussion about Shravanam. Every week you can engage in Shravanam in this way and ask questions, clarify doubts, and all those things. Okay, on the questions, one question that I want on the question side, a lot of people are posting questions, but somehow I think this number 524 has gone out to some people. I'm getting a lot of troll questions. So some people are posting just some kind of nonsensical things. So your real questions are kind of embedded within a whole lot of nonsense that I'm getting at my end when you fill out the form, because anybody who has the link to the form can post whatever he wants. So I am going to mandate or require one thing, which is that you must put your email address also your in the form. Is there a name field also or only email?
Right now there is nothing. There is name option.
Name. So put your name, but it's a free form field. Put your email address. If I cannot find out whether the question is a troll or real, I'm going to email you back. So I want to be able to email you and ask you, is this a question you asked Prabhuji or Mataji? And if you say, yes, I asked this question, then I will answer it. Otherwise, I'm not going to waste my time trying to answer all kinds of nonsense questions. So please put your name and email in the name field itself. Just put something so that we can identify who you are. I will reach out to you. I will ask you. If you tell me I didn't ask this question, even though somebody else may have filled your name, you can say I didn't ask this, in which case I will not bother to answer. So I will try to verify. However, if it is a very personal question, then don't put. That is really why the anonymous question is anonymous. But for simple questions, there is no need for anonymity, at least with me. You can share your name and your email uh, with me directly. And I'm not going to reveal your name that so and so asked this question. But to me, you can reveal it as long as it is not a highly personal, confidential question. And we have seen some of those in the past, like, some things. So that is my request. Okay, we talked about the Bhagavatam class. We talked
Somebody's
about.
asking, can we just have chance to ask questions openly? So do you mean openly in this forum or
Yeah, who asked that?
Som Prabhu?
Som Prabhu. So yes, we can. You can ask openly.
Prabhuji,
Usually we have Q&A time. Like unless we're running out of time, I do give. Can you mute? I give time at the end to ask questions. You can ask your questions or post it on the chat, and we will try to take your questions if time permits. Otherwise, we'll take it next time. I don't want to leave any question unanswered. I'm going to mute.
okay, thank you very much.
Plus, another thing is after the class ends, after the recording ends, and the class officially ends, I hang around. I'm the last one to log out. So if you just want to hang around and ask questions which are not going to be part of the recording, you are welcome to do that. Like in a talk or a seminar, the seminar speaker is there near the podium, and a lot of people go there and ask him questions privately, or like when other people are also listening. It's like an end of session informal Q&A. So I am hanging around here on Zoom till everybody drops out. Only then I will drop out. So if you want to ask your questions at that time, most welcome to do that as well. Okay, so use the time even after 6 o'clock, after 6:10. I am here till 6:30 if you want to ask your questions. No problem from my side. So there are all these avenues to ask questions. Please ask your questions.
Prabhuji, I have a quick thing to say about the registration website. I went to it, I checked it in the chat, and as soon as when I pressed the link, it said it was an unsafe website, so I didn't go to that website, the sign link.
Well, you should take help of your parents. Okay, there are at least 50 to 60 people who have already, or maybe 100 people have already registered, and something is going on with your computer. Maybe you can try this link from your parents' computer. Okay, let your parents handle this registration.
And if there is a problem, then can you ask your parents to just, chat
And
with me
if you have a problem, ask your parents
call me,
to
please?
call, text, email my wife. In case of any problem with this whole class that we do, you must always be able to contact my wife. Feel free to contact her. You have the WhatsApp, you have email, you have all those things. Our communication channels are open. Please talk to my wife and she will gladly help you. She spends a lot of time every day, several hours, trying to organize and talk to people, emails, WhatsApp, all that she's doing in the background. She'll be more than happy to handle all your questions and logistics related questions. Okay. Okay. So let's do japa. Bhagavatam class, yes, it's starting this Saturday, coming Saturday, which means 6 days from now at 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
6 o'clock Pacific time. So please make a note of it. Please join. Please register. Another thing is the youth class. So some children have been very enthusiastically asking for a youth class. I really want to understand from them what is it they are looking for and answer any questions for the youth. So this Thursday, coming Thursday, we will have a youth class in the afternoon. We will send an email for all the children. Any age children can join, but preferably with parents, so that we don't have to spend time trying to resolve some very basic things like I cannot access the website, I cannot access mute button, I cannot do this, cannot do that. Okay. Okay, great. So let's do one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Japa. So we always start with the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, what is known as the Panchatattvatmakam mantra. So the Panchatattva mantra, the Panchatattva are the 5 forms of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the primary form being Lord Chaitanya himself, who is Krishna himself. So we recite that mantra, and then we will chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. By the way, this mantra is the one that is part of the Mangalacharan. It's in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. The one just before Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right before that is this one, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So we say that one. Now we will say Hare Krishna Mahamantra 108 times. So please chant with me. It is 6:02. We should end by 6:09 or 6:10. Okay. And after that, I will hang around for any questions. So please, if you have any questions, you can ask me after that. Okay, we will start. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Even if you don't have the beads or anything, just recite the name, just recite the mantra. Okay, let the words of the name of the holy name of Lord Krishna come out of your mouth. That itself is so good. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Done. Again, we will repeat the mantra, the Panchatattva mantra. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So it is 6:10. As you can see, it took about 7 minutes. And so this is how we do japa. Every class we will do japa so that you can get practice. You can ask questions, but please try to do some japa at home. At least start with 2 rounds. Doesn't take more than 15 minutes to do it. You can see the speed at which we chanted. In the beginning, it may be a little difficult to have the speed. It's okay. Take little more time. It could take 8 minutes per round. So it will take 16 minutes, 17 minutes. You can give that much time to Krishna. He is giving so much to us. He has given us a good life, good wife, good husband, good house, good job, good, roof above our floor, above our head. All those things he has given. We can give him 15 minutes of our time. Start with that. Don't worry about what will happen if I become a pure devotee. Then I have to give all my time. Don't worry. First start with 15 minutes. Then we will discuss later about 15 hours. Okay, don't worry about that. Just start with 15 minutes of, this is the most best way of doing bhakti yoga, is to take the name of the Lord. Okay, so I am here. Class is officially ending. Please make it next time. Register for Bhagavatam class, youth class next Thursday. Watch out for email. And
31st December.
31st December will be the youth class. And Bhagavatam class, it will be very, very important, very useful. Please try to join because we'll be discussing a lot of practical aspects of bhakti yoga. So we will end the class now. We'll stop recording and I will stay here. If you want to hang around, most welcome. Thank you very much. See you next week. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Radhe Radhe, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Radhe Radhe.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.